Welcome back, everybody. Here we are for another quick chess game, and this one was pretty fun to play. Pretty simplistic as well, but there's a couple of cool things in here that I really liked that hopefully you'll enjoy and they'll be good to see. So let's get this one underway. He's leading off with king pawn, and I decided to match it. I usually, as black, don't match whatever white does. I usually do something else weird, or at least weird in America. Different pawns and just different obscure looking formations, whereas it's totally normal and acceptable just to copy everything that white does until eventually everything's developed and play from there. So, however, this is different. This is unusual. I don't know why you do this early. You're supposed to do this later. Once bishops are developed, so you can stop their movement. I guess technically mine is, or able to be. But what, so I pin that guy and prevent you from pushing up? I don't know. So I'm just going to kind of keep doing my thing at this point. Just got random text message. Nope. And I'm just going to keep developing, attack his unguarded piece. He puts out a horse, I put out piece, he puts out piece. I put out piece, and see, we're just mirroring everything at this point. He puts out his. Okay, well, I'm not going to copy that move just yet, although, honestly, I probably could. It might be beneficial. His is probably on its way out. But I'm going to play this little guy, just to get him extra solidified, open up this light diagonal. Excuse me. I thought about maybe pushing up double and getting right off into a sharp game, bouncing around, going after his bishops, and really just kind of opening things up from the start, but yeah, I chose against it. So he decides to go right for fried liver, which, well, yeah, maybe I should have copied essentially what he did by pushing up a guy, but I chose what I chose, and he chose what he chose. So he's in fried liver right now, which is when you have this particular combination going after the king on that particular pawn. It is something that every person needs to be able to recognize and know how to play against in chess. It is a very, very common opening with amateur play. And I don't even mean amateur as far as like competitive amateur chess play. I just mean like kids at school playing around, or buddies when they're bored on a rainy day. They're stuck in latchkey whenever you play chess, and this is it's just an opening people who don't play chess like to play. It's something that you can pretty much only pull off on people who don't know how to really do anything about it, and it also only works against people who don't really know or are able to recognize it. An expert will let you pull it off because he'll kick your ass after you pull it off. You spend a lot of time and resources to get not a lot in return, and they will take full advantage of you. So granted, I'm nowhere near there, but it's pretty interesting. So you guys will notice that you guys will remember that there's a handful of times in a lot of my other videos I've always mentioned that as white, I have a bad habit of casting late, because I like to keep the pressure on, I like to keep moving, I don't want to feel like I'm losing a turn of initiative, and this pawn often I feel very scared that what if somebody took a horse and sacrificed, or a bishop and sacrificed to take this thing, and then it just puts you in a really awkward position. Then you can't castle. Do you just let it go and block yourself in? Do you move up so that your rook isn't ruined, but then your queen is? And it's just one of those. It always really scared me, even though they're losing material to get it. I always hated it, and I would always do just about anything I could to make sure that my opponent didn't even have a chance, because I just never understood the play when my opponents would do that to me, and I almost always lost those games. And this time I see an opportunity where I can be on the attacking end of such a play. Because how do I want to deal with this fried liver right now? Normally, or I shouldn't say normally, but one of the common ways of dealing with it is when you still have this pawn up here, you just double push and block the line of sight with this bishop. But I already spent a turn pushing my pawn up the first time, so I don't want to then take another turn pushing it up one more square. That's a loss of time. I don't want to do that. If I push it up, yeah, he takes, but then I can bounce away, and then he has to run away, and then his line is blocked, so then I'm essentially free to kind of mess around and do some things that I need to do. I could castle at that point. I could just go straight after the horse and make his horse run away, and then he's had to retreat a little bit a couple of times with a couple of different pieces, and then I can just work on taking that pawn right back right after. with something else. Maybe even throw... No, I couldn't throw my bishop out there, but something. Figure something out at that point after making him spend time retreating. There's some other opportunities that you have available to you that you can do as well. You can even just let him take it, and depending on what he takes it with, there's multiple ways you can go back and defend, which we will see in an upcoming series. It's gonna be pretty prevalent and pretty common. But I chose something a little more exotic that I have always wanted to get a better grasp of, that I just never understood very well in the past, that I'm able to analyze chess a lot better now than when I was younger. So I opted to take it because I know how much it sucks if you have to just move your king around and do nothing for it, and I don't care about any of this other stuff going on. And I just thought, you know what, this is my chance. This is my moment, my one opportunity to seize everything I ever wanted, and he is going to bite and take it. Generally, when someone is offering you a piece and it looks like a blunder or it looks free, they're either A, bad, and you need to judge your skill level versus their skill level to know if that was just a blunder, or if you're bad too, then maybe you just go ahead and take it. But if you're not bad, then you don't need to care. Maybe there's something going on you don't see. Or if they're a really good player, you probably should just stay away. You probably should stay away. They're often called gambits, and it's often very poisonous for you and very painful if you take it, and they're just gonna roll. They're gonna roll Tide at that point. Go Bama. So that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted him to take it. I'm now down 2 pawns, and I'm going to free up some space over here and attack his king with check, so he must respond to it. This does a couple of things. Obviously, it's going to force his king to move in an inopportune square, but it also removes my horse from being in the line of where my queen is to his horse. Because I did take this one turn to open up this file earlier for my bishop, while it didn't come into play or didn't come in handy when I wanted to stop the fried liver, it does come in handy now that this horse is defended, so his queen won't take it. So he has to move somewhere, and he decides to completely landlock himself in there. Sorry, king. It generally works the other way around. Generally, you want your guards in front of you, not you in front of your guards. But I guess when there's a fire, you get out of the building any way you can. So he opts for that, and then I proceed to take his horse. So now I gave up a bishop, but I got a pawn and a horse, and I stopped his attack for it, and I messed up his position, and it's just a very attractive and fluid way to get all of that done, and I was pretty proud of myself for it. I really liked it. It was a strategy that has not eluded or tricked me. Just when people do this annoying ass move right here, it's pissed me off for decades. So I'm just happy that I was able to see an opportunity where I could do it, and I pulled it off all at once, and it worked, and I'm happy about it. So I wanted to talk about it. Sorry, that's just the way it was gonna go. He decides to open up some of his lines as well, get a discovered attack on my queen, thinking maybe I wouldn't see it, but it works out in my favor, unfortunately, because I notice that this square is checkmate if I can get my queen on it. How can I get my queen on it? Well, I can move my queen down here, which now looks natural as opposed to on purpose of like, hey, I'm aligning all of my pieces so I can target this square. I hope you don't see it. Like, no, it's like this is just a natural thing. I need to get my queen out of the way so you don't take it. I could have moved it here, but that's ballsy. I don't know how that works. He probably just pushes, and then dude, I don't know. It's I guess then I could go down there, and then he'd have. I don't know. It's interesting, but didn't really care to analyze it at all. So I pop down here, give myself a one-turn checkmate. He sees it, so he defends it, and that's fine. But I have an easy way to get him out of there, or at least try. I'm going to attack the piece that's currently saving his one-move checkmate, and maybe he'll mess up. Alright, well, he didn't mess up, but that's no big deal. However, unfortunately here, I'm kind of stupid. I don't really know. It's the one downside to correspondence chess. Sometimes, because these games can take days, weeks, months even, and then who knows how long it's going to take before I actually record the freaking game. Sometimes you just forget moves. I don't know exactly why I did that move. I just did. I think part of it was I was worried about his pawn going over here, because my horse for the moment doesn't exactly have a lot of squares that it can land on. This square doesn't work, this square doesn't work. This square he dies for free, this square he dies for free. This square he dies for a pawn, which I don't want to do at this time. And this square he's safe for now. If this bishop does not have a queen in front of it, he's not safe there. Granted, I could just take it with the queen, but otherwise I wouldn't want to have my only resort being opening up my pawn. So I think maybe with the threat of him pushing and seeing my opportunity to get this horse out of here now, I think that's why I did it. I don't know. If I could go back and replay, I would either castle or I would push this pawn and not only block off these two squares for the knight, but also give me the opportunity to then thrust this pawn forward and mess with his bishop, just causing him to backtrack it. It doesn't really change much of the board position, but it just causes him to spend time doing something else, and I think that's what I would have done if I saw it again. But it's not what I did this time. I moved it back, and he took that opportunity of a free turn and tempo to attack after my queen. And I guess really, again, I could go here and be very ballsy about it, but it's just not good, I don't think. So without really much hesitation whatsoever, I ran my queen back to her natural square. Didn't want to go there, because then all he has to do is pop me down into check somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Pop me down into check there, fork both of them, and I'd just be in a lot of trouble at that point. So go down all the way to the natural square. So I just spent the last 2 turns running away pretty significantly, and all I have to show for it is a pawn, unfortunately. I guess his stuff is still ugly, but my stuff is ugly too. So while I was pretty proud a few turns ago, it doesn't look very good anymore, man. This is what happens when 2 bad people are playing chess. So he takes his opportunity to free up this diagonal and now really go after, force me to make my stuff ugly, and seize the opening, this file area, maybe slowly work his king out so that he can get his rook out, perhaps. But now that my queen is no longer occupying one of these squares, and now that his queen is also occupying another square, I can take this opportunity to save myself from losing that horse and attack his queen. So I'll force him to spend another turn moving it, which it mitigates my loss of time a little bit. Since I lost a turn, obviously moving it away and then moving it back, well, he just moved his queen there, and now he's going to move his queen again as well. So it does save me a little bit. I recover some of the lost damage. And now it gives me an opportunity to move my horse down here, and then we can work on some trades. And maybe, you know what, maybe I am stuck having to make this trade and open up my castle side, but maybe I'm not. I could potentially sidestep, since there is no immediate threat here anyway. I acted quicker than I needed to. Maybe I can move my bishop out and get some play going on, or maybe when I see it, I'm going to just take some time. Oh, never mind, just kidding. I'm not going to take any time. Maybe I could take some time to go after a pawn, but I guess we'll get there later, huh? So he now proceeds, however, to take that extra time that he has to go after this horse. I wanted to move my bishop up first, develop it, get all the minor pieces going, put some extra defense on this square just in case some shenanigans show up later, because this horse really is just one square, which is a square that could lead with check even, from him having multiple pieces all angled on me for possible checkmate. So I did need to get this guy out of here, so and defend this square. So that's why I chose that one first, but he takes his time now to go after my horse, which only, again, has a couple of good squares. And so like I said earlier, with this being correspondence chess, and sometimes moves take a long time, sometimes I'll look at these moves for 10 minutes, sometimes a couple of hours, sometimes a couple of days. I'll look at these moves, and then when somebody makes one move, it might take a week for them to get back to you, and then you often spend your time doing all of those moves again, looking at all of the pieces and all of the lines and going in numerous moves at a time. And sometimes I just get tired of looking at it. So I saw that pawn earlier, I see it again now. So I think instead I'll just ignore this threat for the moment, and I just need to just mentally deflect over here. Just change the landscape a little bit, play on the other side of the field, make him look at more pieces too. open up his train of thought a little bit, just to deflect it away from whatever he's thinking over here. Hopefully it'll make him lose track of his train of thought. If he wants to just take my horse, then that's fine. I'll take his rook as well. It's often a very powerful strategy when you're being attacked to, instead of respond to that attack, just attack somewhere else as long as it's of equal or greater threat. Obviously the rooks are worth more than the knights, so in this case I figure if I can just attack with a greater threat, that's a defense of its own. You know, I'm taking the fight to you, we're fighting on your hometown now, so you have to deal with all that collateral damage, and you don't want that. So we're doing that for a turn. He moves his rook over, no big deal, and we're right back to exactly where we were a couple turns ago. We had a brief vacation. That's really all it is. You know, if you squeeze down a whole year, you got 52 weeks, you're going into work all the freaking time, maybe you get one vacation in there where you go somewhere for a week, like I went to Vegas last month. So it was just a kind of microcosm of that. We had a brief respite, we moved over there, we're back to normal, with this opportunity of trading stuff out. Plus, when I make a bad move with a piece and he's off somewhere on the side, I like trading them away as soon as I can at that point, just to kind of remove the bad move, remove the bad thoughts from my mind, just get it out of there. So if we can make this trade, that's fine. By me taking this pawn, if I have to double up after some trades and then castle queenside, it's a little bit more okay at this point, because he did lose one of these pawns on this side. Maybe, honestly, once we take a couple more pieces out of here, maybe I don't even have to castle at all, because this pawn will be there, so the king will still have a nice little home around him of pawns, and a light square bishop. It's whatever. I still have my light square bishop, so they can defend each other. So maybe I don't have to worry about castling whatsoever. So I think I'll be okay with this losing in the trade at that point if I have to. So I'm offering up the trade to him, and then he doesn't even do it. All this time I'm so worried about opening up my pawn structure, my castle, with the queen trade, and he doesn't even do it. But I think it's very curious why he doesn't do it. He's going after a piece that's hanging and free, which really, he's only there just because he could have been. Like, as far as the end result of whether we did this stuff first and then I took this pawn, or taking this pawn and then doing this stuff first, is materially, it's all pretty much the same stuff. It's just the timing was just slightly different, that if we did these trades first, this horse isn't here, and maybe he does accept the trade at that point, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But because I took this path first, just changed things just a little bit, maybe he thought, you know what, let's go after it. Alright, I'm happy with that. So now I get to bring him back down where he belongs, on a nice little pivot in the center, blocking off any advancement, and without any pawns in the diagonal lanes that can go after him at this point too, because this one's already past it, and this one's now dead. So, and he's attacking the queen that he just spent a turn moving, so he's going to lose some more time. So that just worked out absolutely fantastic. And at this point now we're swimming. We're 2 pawns up. My position was saved. I didn't have to break it, and his position's still ugly. So we're in good hands right now. We're in all state, and oh, that's right. I took his bishop. Remember when I put this here and he still had his horse, and I said, well, we'll build some tension, and maybe if it moves, I can take it, or this or that. His horse moved a few turns ago, because since then I took, and then he went somewhere, and then I moved somewhere, and he moved somewhere else. There was this tension between these bishops that whole time, and I didn't even see it, or I didn't care about it because my queen was here, or even, hell, the horse could have responded to it, but whatever, I take it now. Many, many turns in the making, and in exchange for my trade of light squared bishops, I get him to unisolate? No, it's not unisolating. Whatever. Isolate his center pawn, detach his center pawns, making both of them much less strong. Sure, he fills up the hole of the one that I took, but he ruins this one. And this one's just not as good now. So that worked out fantastic. I kind of technically win in that exchange. And we are just happy as a clam. I'm able to castle. Soon I'll be pushing up a pawn and just making myself nice and secure, nice and safe. He's going after me. Alright, fine, you can go after me. If you want to take this trade, that's fine. So I kind of want to just leave that tension on there. I don't really care. The horse is doing whatever he wants to do. So I could play a quiet move here. I could also play a quiet move there. Quiet moves are great when you have the advantage and you want your opponent to think about things just for a little bit longer. Whether there's some tension and you want it to snap, you want your opponent to make the first move on something, or whether your opponent just has terrible position and there's not a whole lot of good plays he can do, he's going to work himself into a trap, or whether he, in effort to try and make something happen, he moves a piece, and by moving said piece, it opens up space for you to take advantage of, like blitzing in football. By sending extra defenders from one side of the field, it opens up that side of the field for holes, and your guy throws a nice pass over there and you get a big play out of it. So there's the risk reward. So quiet moves are great when you're up ahead to try and work some of those advantages into your pocket. So by me just pretty much saying pass in chess, doing pretty much nothing, that allows him the extra time to take this trade, which is not good for him. I'm already up 2 pawns and his position is worse, so that's fine. I will take that, absolutely. Now my pawn is a passed pawn. There's no pawns that can do anything to disrupt him, and I can very, very easily just defend him and solidify this foundation, which will never go away. So very strong for me. And not his best move, but when you're in a tough position, it's hard for me to think of, like, well, what else could you have done? Nor do I want to really go back and worry about that right now. So he moves his queen, maybe, I guess, just to start working on connecting his rooks, maybe to defend that guy. But I'm just going to solidify my position over here for the moment and give him some extra time. He wants to now attack on my queen since he's got it defended. Force her to get on out of there, and I don't want to bring her back to home this time. I could bring her to one of these 2 squares where she could still at least make an offensive play, but I decided to throw her all the way over to the side on the flank so that way she has an opening to get in, and maybe do something depending on where the queen wants to go, but really just give her some lanes where she's still in the thick of things. But she's definitely off to the side and nice and safe. So I don't know if it's her best spot, but it looked good enough for me. Plus, I kind of see that I may want to make some other plays with my other pieces in the center as well, and I don't want the queen in the way. The other pieces will be more effective at it. So he moves his king down. He's going to try and start freeing up these rooks and get them into play, but so am I. I noticed that I've got this thing nice and pinned, so with this file having been nice and open, or at least I should say half open, because of me taking that pawn a long time ago, it made it very attractive to have this pawn just get marched up and have the rook following it for some serious damage. And now I have the perfect opportunity to do so by pinning this pawn to the queen. He moves his rook up so he can prepare to double. I prepare to make it trouble. Yes, that's exactly how he prepares to double, and I prepare to make trouble. That's exactly how I wanted that to go. So that way, if he takes, obviously I'm taking his queen, and that's not good. And if he wants to do whatever else he wants to do, that's fine. I'll be okay with it. I'm taking your queen. So I'm pretty happy. And he proceeds to pretty much ignore all of this stuff that's going on, which I thought was interesting. I thought maybe he would try and respond and defend. Maybe he would, I don't know, go down here. Sorry, excuse me. So it did surprise me a little bit, and that makes me think, well, if he's ignoring my attack, maybe he sees something that I haven't looked at yet. So if I were to take this pawn, and let's just say he took that pawn because he's now doubled up, cool, hey, free queen, he didn't move his queen, and look, I just lost the game, checkmate. So okay, well, what if I took there and then he takes it anyway, and then, oh, well, if I take the queen I lose the game, so let's take this rook. Well, okay, then he can take the rook, and then, well, I guess I could take the rook, so that'll be cool, but then he can still just checkmate me with his queen. Crap! So obviously I wouldn't want to go through a series of plays that puts me into checkmate and I lose the game, but by me taking this pawn, it throws me into an opportunity where there's a couple different chances where I could. I don't even want to take the chance of blundering and screwing something up. I'd rather it not happen. So I take one more turn to solidify my structure, so that way if he does in fact take that piece, I'll swap it with the pawn first, and then I won't have to care. I feel like it loses the luster of what this move was a little bit by waiting so long, but maybe it doesn't really. So he ignores it again, and at this point it's too much, man. You can't ignore it for forever. You can't play quiet moves because you're not winning. So I take his pawn, he runs away. Okay, I guess he's offering up a queen trade now, which is fine. I'm now up 3 pawns in the position, so I take it. Alright, so he obviously completes the trade. I'll double up my rooks now, take total command over the only open file. I still have all 8 of my pawns, and he's in a world of hurt. I don't think there's a whole lot of anything he can do to win the game at this point. So it's a tough position to be in for sure. So he proceeds to redouble his rooks, just in case, I suppose. And I'm up 3 pawns, so hey, let's make a deal. He rejects the trade, I take a pawn. Alright, fine. I don't know what the hell that is. Don't ask. Hey, let's make a deal. He rejects the trade, doubles up, I take his pawn. Bro, this isn't working for you. Granted, when you're losing, you can't just make a trade. That doesn't help, but you can't give up 3 material for not trading either. That's even worse. So I don't know what his better course of action he could do is. This looks backward, but I don't know. Whatever. So be it. That's what he chose. He now takes command of the open file of sorts. I go right on in back, offer up another trade, and if he so takes it, then I undouble my pawns, and I just have all 8 of my pawns over here, and that would just be really, really cool. He once again rejects the trade. Unfortunately, we can't go 3 for 3. I can only take pawns 2 of those 3 times, but regardless, I'm up 5 pawns at this point. There's not a whole lot he can do. I double up my rooks, and then I'm thinking on maybe I should have doubled up this way first instead and gone after here, because I can't really go after there just yet until I start advancing this pawn and attacking this piece is really where I think I'm going. But then maybe I would have wanted to keep him there so that he can't take it. I don't know exactly where my train of thought was going next. I also didn't care too much. I didn't have to be too specific and lethal here, being up 5 pawns and total control of the game. He ended up resigning at this point, so the game is officially over. I don't know what he would do from here. He didn't know what he would do from here either, and he said that was enough. He was not going to play the game anymore. So, and I was pawn-perfect. I didn't lose any pawns, so that's cool to see as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I have at least a handful more. How many more approximately? Quite a handful still of additional things that I could do. And obviously, yeah, still got streams, still got other games to play. So hopefully you enjoyed it and can check out some Twitch and other videos that are going on. Thank you all for watching. Take it easy. Catch you later. Peace, everybody. Take it easy.